One thing has been bothering me for a very long time, and it's been bothering the national security establishment also, and we keep on thinking about it. What we perceive to be the absolute asymmetry between the Indian Air Force and the PLA Air Force, sir. In the sense that they already have 5th generation fighter jets. They have the J-20, sir, deployed. And they say that within a decade, we're going to have 1,000 5th generation fighter jets. Now they're churning them out like cookies, sir. I mean, 1,000. This is bigger than the US Air Force. This is bigger than anything that we have seen. I'd like your views about the Chinese Air Force, and then we'll come to the comparison later on. But what about the PLA Air Force, sir?
Yeah. So, Gaurav, very valid question. And China is sprinting ahead. Okay, you put quite a few things in this question, and it's quite a loaded question, but I will make it in a very simple way and put it across. So, China is racing with USA. All right. And in the race with USA, they're still lagging quite a bit as compared to USA. Obviously, I'll tell you why and how. But when you compare with India, they're moving ahead. Okay, let me tell you another thing. There is an organization called WDMMA, okay, World Directory of Modern Military Aircraft. So every year they publish a research analysis. What they do is they calculate the fighting capability of a Air Force, and they don't do only bean counting. That so many fighters and so many this thing. They take a holistic view of what is the industry, what is your training level, every factor, and about 17 odd factors, and then they give a rating called TBR.
The entire ecosystem.
And then they calculate the rating system, which is okay. I mean, like a holistic view is taking, and they take the capability of the force to fight. Good news is that India is still few points, 5 to 6 points ahead of China.
As of today?
As of today, 23 also and 24, both the reports. You will be surprised. I'll take 30 seconds on this WDMMA.
Please take your time, sir.
Yeah. So, beauty of it is, we keep talking about our numbers and capabilities. The country-wise, if you take, first is USA, obviously, second is Russia, third is India, and fourth is China. But if you take actually numerical value-wise, in the first 6, 4 are by American, US Air Force, US Army Aviation, US Navy Aviation, and US Marines. Okay, so first 2 are Air Force, US, and third position is Russia. Fourth and 5th is again US. 6th is India, and 7th is China. Okay, Pakistan is 18th in that list.
Sure.
Okay, now having said that, but we cannot rest on this, 5.6 points ahead of us. Second thing you brought about, the 5th generation aircraft. So obviously China is claiming that J-20 and J-31 are the 5th generation aircraft, and you're very right. They're churning them like anything. And if you take any military power, major military power, the best part is that they have a established defense industry. Our Atmanirbharta, we are struggling. China, by whatever means they established, but they have a defense industry. Then next part is, number of aircraft. Numerically, they have gone way ahead. If you take Chinese Navy, I mean, they have overtaken US Navy in numbers. So, similarly in the Air Force, number-wise, they are way ahead. But the good news is, they cannot apply all the force simultaneously. But they are rectifying these things. Okay, there is a thing called, we used to say, there's a T3 advantage with China. Technology, training, and terrain. Terrain still stays, but terrain problems they're overcoming with technology. Technology, they have gone way, way ahead. In some of the fields, in the modern technology issues, they have gone ahead of USA. Okay, where we are ahead of them as far as is training. But training, I will qualify, training includes training, your motivation levels, your doctrines, your strategy, your experience. So that's where we score still higher with them.
So we all know, you mentioned Navy, sir. So the number of ships that China has vis-a-vis the United States of America, China has more number of vessels, more number of ships. But if you look at America, sir, I think 11 odd nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Correct. And also the sheer weight of the American Navy is something that, numbers-wise, of course, China is ahead. There is no doubt about it. But the sheer might of the US Navy, that qualitative might, sir. I think China still has some decades to do in sort of catching up. I would like to ask you especially about the J-20 programs. Now, they've deployed them in Tibet, and media reports suggest that they are 150 kilometers just behind the line of actual control, which is perceptional, of course. But what we think of the line of actual control is from there 150 meters behind. When you say terrain, sir, are you talking about Tibet being a plateau? Is that something that you're hinting at?
Yeah. So before I answer your question on terrain and Tibet and J20, so you brought out about Navy, the number of vessels and quality of vessels. So the same report, I'll go back to WDMMA. So interesting thing is, as I said there, with China when you compare with the USA, so when you compare the TBR rating of the US Army, Air Force, Marine and Navy, the total goes to some 740 some odd figure, I don't remember exactly. Whereas China is about 160, 170 points. So US is 4 times capability-wise that of China as far as air warfare is concerned.
Sure.
Of course, their deployment is global. And China is still regional and aspiring to be global, this thing. Similarly, in the Navy also, as what you brought out, I just wanted to bring out that perspective.
Sure.
Okay, as far as J20 is concerned, so China claims that it is a 5th generation aircraft and very capable. There are 2 aspects to it. One is, Chinese claim, nobody knows what is exact. I have gone to Zhuhai Air Show. And in that air show, the aircraft, 5th generation aircraft, were kept far away from, they were within sight, but not at the place where they are displaying other drones. And by the way, they are heavy into drones and unmanned platforms. This aircraft was kept away so that you can see it visually, but you can't go close to it and see. The next air show after it retired, they reported that they saw the aircraft and it was flying and the bomb bay open and weapons inside, internal weapons. But nobody knows exactly whether they were actual weapons or just dummies inside. What I'm trying to bring out is China is such an enigmatic country, and we don't know what is the actual capability of these aircraft. Okay, they claim on paper. They don't do exercises openly with them. They're very close. Even when they go for these air shows, they keep this aircraft in a very, keep away from public sight. So you don't know actually what is the actual capabilities. But you should always give the devil its due and be prepared for the worst case scenario. The second issue is they are still struggling for the aircraft engine. Although they have WS-15 series, which they have started flying on the aircraft, but they're having a lot of problems still with it. So, but their defense industry is very established in these numbers. Now, as per a deployment you mentioned, yeah. So, Doklam time we are monitoring them. Of course, all their issues, whatever this thing is, they are addressing them one by one, and whatever capabilities they are developing, tactics and capability to operate in high altitudes, they are overcoming them in a very, very planned manner. So we should give them that due and be prepared accordingly.
How good is the J20, sir? Because at one level you have the F-22 Raptors, sir, you have the F-35, which are platforms which everybody knows about. So in air shows, you can actually walk up to an F-35, which they did in Bangalore, sir. A few years back, the Americans bought the F-35 and they said, well, here is our aircraft and go ahead and see it. Plus, all these aircraft are tested in battle, sir.
True.
Whether it's the F-22 or the F-35 or their F-15s or their F-18 Hornets, sir, all these have been extensively used in battle. Now, no Chinese aircraft in recent memory has been used in battle, sir.
Correct.
Plus, like you very rightly mentioned, you went to the air show and that is the 5th generation fighter.
True.
You probably need a pair of binoculars to see that, sir. And they won't let you come close to it.
Yeah.
Having said that, sir, stated capability of the J20. Whatever the Chinese say, let us assume that the Chinese are speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Stated capability of the J20 vis-a-vis the F-22.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the F-35, sir.
Yeah.
That I'll come to later. How do you compare these two platforms, sir?
Yeah. So, as I said, Chinese, you also said it and I also said it, that, their stated capabilities are X. But whether it is X or X minus, we don't know, and how much minus, we don't know.
Sure.
So unless they fly together, they operate together, and at least they open out, we can't really say this thing. Whereas F-22 is already operational. And let me tell you another interesting thing, just off the cuff. The new trend which is coming up. We keep saying, why do we keep buying our aircraft from outside? And technology will never be transferred 100%. What's the new trend in this 5th generation aircraft? All the countries who have 5th generation aircraft, they make 2 of these. If you see F-22 and F-31, correct? Similarly, J-20 and 31 of Chinese. The Russians have got FGFA, that which we dropped out of, Su-57 and Su-75. So what they do is, one is for the domestic use, and the other one is slightly cheaper version for export purposes. And the export version doesn't have the full technology which the domestic one has. This I don't think you would have heard anywhere, because I have not read much about it, but this is my observation and I have seen it.
बिल्ली ने शेर को सब कुछ सिखाया लेकिन पेड़ पे चढ़ना नहीं सिखाया.
Correct. So, US is smart that way. You know how he achieves, what is the sixth generation aircraft project called? New generation air dominance fighter. So air dominance is like they use technology for air dominance. It's like Tiger Woods dominating the golf circuit, or say tennis, this thing, Nadal, dominating this thing. Similarly, in air power, US has been dominating for years by use of its technology. If you see their aircraft, but they'll never give you 100% technology because they lose their dominance. Correct. Now China is trying to catch up with that. In few technologies, now they've gone ahead of US, but in air power, still they are lagging. Okay.
The engine is not so good, sir. लोग कहते हैं कि engine replacement बहुत ज़्यादा है उसमें.
So engine reliability and survivability is a question as far as WS series is concerned.
And even fifth generation engines, because एक report आई थी sir that Chinese fighters J-20 sir. He says it's not completely stealth because that engine, there was a problem in the engine and वो radar में पकड़ा जाता था.
Correct.
बाकी you have the paint and you have the aerodynamics and everything कि जी ये तो fifth generation है, लेकिन the engine was not fifth generation.
So stealth has got a lot of factors. It's not only radar signature or visual signature. It is visual signature, radar signature, heat signature, noise signature.
Everything. Sir.
Everything inclusive. It's a technology in itself. And engine, you're very right. Engine noise signature as well as heat signature. And the future trend of systems is not only radar based. They are going to be multiple sensors. And the data which they will generate is going to be tremendous, and you need AI based and machine learning systems to deal with these and give you a realistic assessment of what the threat is, and also maybe some decision support systems. That is where we are heading.